foul play was involved in Quinn's disappearance and began investigating the case as a homicide. It wasn't until 2009 they had collected some hair, saliva, and fingerprint samples from a female friend of Zebb's named Misty Taylor, but they stated Misty isn't a suspect in his disappearance. Quinn told his loved ones that Misty's boyfriend, a guy named Wesley Smith, was abusive to her, and that Smith had threatened him because of his involvement with Misty.
All right.
Police eventually traced the page Quinn got on the night of his disappearance. It came from the home of his aunt. Her name is Ina Ustich. Now, she denies having made the call and said that the night that the page was received, which would have been the January 2nd evening, that she was having dinner at her friend Tamara Taylor's house. Tamara is Misty Taylor's aunt, and Misty and Smith were also at the dinner that night.
Oh, well, that's very, who made the damn page then? That's crazy.
Ustich later filed a police report saying that someone had broken into her house while she was at Tamara's having dinner. It didn't seem like anything was stolen, but she said things were rearranged in the house.
All right.
Like she could tell some things had been moved around.
Yeah, that's very strange.
In the years after Zebb Quinn's disappearance, Owens would spend about 23 months in prison for some other, minor crimes. So let's talk about Jason Owens for just a few minutes.
Yeah, let's talk about that guy.
I like how you say that. He was raised by his grandmother, Bertha. His mother, Betsy, was a drug addict who had left the boy to be raised by Grandma. Jason's father was never listed on the birth certificate and was never involved in Jason's life. Jason attended Irwin High School, where folks described him as personable, but neither popular nor unpopular. He was just like a really average guy.
All right. So average, you kind of forget him.
Yeah,
average.
I mean, honestly, everybody described him as the most average guy you'd ever meet.
All right.
Just not very memorable.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
I mean, and he
being average.
Came up, we're in similar age groups here. So he came up in the 90s, and during the 90s, there was the grunge era. Hip hop was big.
Yeah.
But during that time, Jason Owens always had a very clean cut appearance. He didn't have the long hair that a lot of guys that age had.
Black t-shirt crowd.
Wasn't part of that. Huh. Wasn't the sagging the pants crowd.
All right, so he's kind of sound a little preppy.
Just
kind of clean
cut,
preppy.
Very respectful. Some said he was like the boy next door.
All right.
Quiet. Now, Owens has a criminal record involving frequent run-ins with the police. Owens was involved in several high-speed police chases, drunk driving, and driving with a revoked license. He would also accrue convictions for distributing prescription drugs, possessing stolen property. At some point in the kind of mid-2000s, he had to file bankruptcy.
What the hell, Jason? Damn.
Some described Owens as a solid construction worker, a doting uncle, and a guy who liked flipping burgers on the grill. Again, just super average.
Yeah, besides all the damn shenanigans, the police chases and the bankruptcy.
Well, that's the thing. He presented himself as just this regular Joe, but had this side that a lot of people didn't know about.
Right. And I could see that being like that. If you see this young man, clean cut, acts, he's quiet, just kind of middle of the road on everything and respectful. You'd be like, what the hell? You'd be surprised that he's leading Asheville police all around them place, chasing his ass.
It was not until March 17th, 2015, when Jason Owens was arrested for an unrelated incident involving another couple that authorities began pressing Owens for more information regarding Zebb's disappearance.
I don't know why they waited that long.
So at this point, Zebb Quinn has been missing for 15 years. It's a cold case. It's just gone nowhere. And it's been baffling to the area.
Yeah, I think that really it left a mark, because even to this day, people vividly remember it. They remember when it happened, when they were looking for Zebb, and they remember all the strange little details, the puppy in the car,
the lips drawn on the window.
Yes, and the fact that he was with Jason Owens. They remember, I mean, not even true crime fans, just everybody around here remembers that case vividly.
Yeah, I mean, I remember exactly when this happened.
Right.
And you were living in the area at the time, so I'm sure you remember all the details.
Yeah, I was like, what? It was very strange. I mean, it's just, and then, Jason's with his last person to see him. That concocted story, that weird story about him taking off, hitting my car, almost kind of like I don't have time to take care of that, and zooms off. And then I'm in another wreck. Now I'm at the hospital. There's no proof. I mean, I was just like, long before all the podcasts and true crime access we have nowadays, I was just like, this doesn't make any damn sense.
No.
But then the cops really have nothing to go on, so they can't keep pressing him. But lo and behold, Owens comes back into their field of view years later.
Christy and J.T. Codd were living in the Leicester area of Asheville. The couple had purchased their home sitting on 27 acres on Hooker's Gap Road. Christy and J.T. had scheduled a trip to Mississippi, but never showed up. And that did make sense to Christy's dad. The couple was set to arrive by 4 p.m. on Sunday, and they were not answering calls or texts. So her family alerted the police, who went to the home to perform a welfare check. Finding no signs of the couple or where they might have gone, it didn't take long for police to recognize that the situation was alarming. Not to mention that the couple had left behind vehicles and dogs.
Oh.
And it was clear that the dogs had not been tended to for several days.
That's not what people usually do when they go away on a trip.
No.
No, they make plans for the dogs. Someone keeps them or someone's there house sitting, something.
Not long after this, alerts went out within the community, basically across the region, this missing couple. Even prompted some posts on like 48 hours asking anybody with information or what happened to them, where they might have gone, to please, come forward. Christy had appeared on season 8 of Food Network Star.
Really?
So she's somewhat of a celebrity chef.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
She was pregnant and dreamed of opening a little cafe in the community where they lived. She wanted to do really healthy, kind of farm-to-table types of foods.
Is that going to play in Leicester?
Perhaps.
This $19 sandwich.
Christy was not only an accomplished chef, but she graduated from LSU with a double major in theater and German.
Ah, well.
She was also a really skilled oil painter. This is like an accomplished woman.
Sounds very talented.
Yes. And there was no reason for her or her husband to just abruptly leave town without taking their cars, to stop answering family members' phone calls.
Ignoring their pets.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's not good.
Christy worked as a caterer, and her husband had been a grip on movie and television sets. He had even worked on that HBO show Carnival.
Oh my God.
Which I love.
I want to hang out with them.
I mean, the couple had only been married since September of 2014, so they were still newlyweds.
They sound like a very interesting pair of people.
Exactly. They'd just recently been married, expecting their first baby, had just bought a house.
Ambitious, all these plans.
Were settling into this new town, had all these plans. I mean, there was just no reason for them to up and leave. And they were planning this trip to Mississippi to visit her family.
Right.
Jason Owens lived less than a mile away from the Codds.
Oh, fuck.
He had been hired on occasion to do some construction and handyman types of work for the couple. He and Christy were friendly enough that they were even connected on social media and were like Facebook friends.
Here we go. Here comes Owens back into the picture of some normal people's lives.
It was on March 16th of 2015 that Owens becomes a person of interest. A neighbor phoned the sheriff's department to say that Jason Owens was seen throwing garbage bags into a private dumpster outside of a Candler home. Candler is, what would you guesstimate, about 10 or 15 minutes drive from Leicester?
Yeah, by the time you come all the way
kind of
up.
Across town.
Yeah, it's not real. It's not, you have to, it's quite a bit of ways away, on that general side.
Officers retrieve the bag, and they find items belonging to Christy inside.
There you fucking go.
And Owens is already known to police. I mean, he was a prime suspect in Zebb's disappearance. He's had multiple run-ins over the years.
Right.
When they get this tip that his neighbors that were employing him are missing,
yeah,
and he was one of the last people to be around.
You know they didn't
and
forget.
they see him dumping garbage bags across town. They want to know what's in the garbage bags.
Oh, yeah. And that's, they're always going to dig in your trash, and it's public property. Well, that was a private dumpster, but it's public property if you put it out on the street.
Owens was arrested and charged with the murder of Christy, Joseph, and their unborn child, Skylar.
Yeah, and I'm sure there were still cops in the department who worked the Zebb Quinn case and knew and had a feeling in their gut. They knew it was this. Owens had something to do with that, but they could never prove it. So I bet they're going after him tooth and nail on this.
Well, they get him, they arrest him, and he starts singing like a canary. He tells police that sometime around March 12th, he accidentally ran over the couple as they tried to remove their car from a ditch. He's driving JT's truck. He rams their vehicle, then backs over them. After he panics, thinking he's going to be arrested and go back to prison, he decides to take the couple's bodies inside their home, where he dismembered them with a reciprocating saw and placed their body parts into plastic bags.
Yeah, that's what people do right there when accidents happen.
He took the bags of body parts to a mobile home on his property and burned the bodies in a wood stove.
Jesus.
He moved the couple's cars and sold some of their belongings, staging the house to look as if it had been burgled.
Oh, and he'd know all about that.
The couple's remains were sent to Winston-Salem to be identified using DNA, what they were able to find in the wood stove.
So he's claiming he was trying to help him get out of the ditch? I don't know if you found any more information on that, or that they were having an argument. I could never nail that down.
No, I mean, what?
That when he accidentally ran over them, which we know is a fucking lie, let's be honest.
Well,
come on.
I understand is the couple had a vehicle in a ditch. He's driving the truck and I guess happens to drive up and then accidentally runs them over.
Right, they're both standing hip to hip together directly behind the vehicle. Yeah, that's just, whatever.
Right.
I'm sorry, but yeah, that's a stupid story.
They were identified using DNA. Okay, this part of the story is checking out.
Their remains are in the wood stove.
Owens had admitted to his wife, Samantha, that he had hit the couple with a vehicle and that he was driving one of their vehicles when he did it.
All right.
Owens also took Christy's phone and texted her family from the phone.
Like trying to cover their tracks?
Yeah, I guess
tracks?
like, hey, I'm on my way, or whatever.
Or
just
we're not
to try
coming,
to throw the family off or to buy some time.
Oh, look at that. Just like he called in for poor Zebb Quinn to his work, I'm not going to be there. Oh, yeah, look at that.
However, like you mentioned, investigators don't really know if this is the truth because this is Owens' version. He controlled the crime scene for at least 72 hours after the murders. His narrative is likely not what happened, but it's all the police have to go on.
Right, and it sounds like he was actively modifying that scene the entire time.
Several days after Owens was arrested, a double wide on his property mysteriously caught fire.
Oh, wow.
Investigators deemed this suspicious. The building was the former home of his grandmother, Bertha Owens. Reportedly inside the mobile home was a wood stove. So they were able to get some evidence from this wood stove. But shortly after they're collecting the evidence from the wood stove, I'm assuming fragments, bone fragments.
Now, is this another wood stove in another house?
I believe this is the same wood stove in the mobile home that was used. So that crime scene basically goes up in flames.
Okay. All right.
Someone is trying to clear up this crime scene.
That's what it sounds like.
On March 30th, 2015, crews were sent to Owens' property on a tip from a relative that he'd been digging a fish pond around the time of Zebb Quinn's disappearance. Shortly after he disappeared, Owens covered the pond with concrete.
Okay.
They get this excavation project going. They dig down. They find underneath this concrete slab some fabric, various leather types of materials, and some unknown hard fragments, which they thought could have possibly been some bone fragments, but I
Right.
didn't find too much